Hello guys, Crispy and welcome back to another Sunday video. In this one, my friends, we are gonna be testing the GeForce GTX 650 Ti in 2023. The 650 Ti released back in 2012, so it's over a decade old at this point. I cannot believe this. I looked up to these GPUs like they were really good back in the days. I remember being stuck with like a GT 630M laptop and looking at the GTX cards, even the 650, and being amazed at their performance, what they could do in like Battlefield 3 and stuff. Good days. This one right here is the Palit version of the card. It comes overclocked out of the box, and it's a 1GB GDDR5 version. It's based on the Kepler architecture, 28nm process from TSMC. It has 768 CUDA cores, 64 TMUs, 16 ROPs, 1GB of that GDDR5 memory that I told you, and a 128-bit memory bus. It also consumes 110 watts of power, and it requires a 6-pin power connector to power it up, which is funnily hidden away right there, as you can see. Lastly, because it's a 50 Ti class GPU, it cost $149 MSRP, the correct price for a 50 Ti card. But alright, that's enough intro, let's get this thing installed and play some games with it, shall we? For the test system, I paired it with an i7-4770K, 16GB of DDR3 RAM at 1600MHz in dual channel. That's just normal DDR3 stuff. If you're interested in more specs, they're down below in the description, including the case that we're utilizing. Alright, first up we got GTA 5, legendary title, very easy to run. We're playing at 1080p DirectX 11 using normal to high settings, and over here everything is turned off. We also have ambient occlusion and tessellation enabled, which could be disabled by the way. You know what, considering the age of the GPU and what it was entry level back in 2012. This is actually quite good, right? Like 69 on average, that is absolutely perfect. Okay, there we go, everything is fine. Let's continue. Visit Jack, of course. Now, those shadows on normal are actually looking quite bad, as you can see in the car there. Yeah, I don't like that too much, but I tried it with high shadows and it was dropping from 60 FPS a lot more often, so you know, compromises. It also consumes a little bit more VRAM if you bump up those shadows, and it could make it a little bit stuttery. Right now, everything is absolutely fine in terms of stuttering. Oh, this is perfect! 650 Ti allowing me not to hit people there. Probably because the population density slider is low. So this is where the FPS are gonna drop the most because of the vegetation. But it doesn't really seem to drop by all that much because the grass quality is on normal. Hello Jacqueline, how's it going? All good here. Thank you very much for visiting us today. We gotta kill Bob, of course. Let's see these bushes first. 50s. Yeah, lower 50s. It drops by quite a lot. Oh, you didn't no, Rex is actually there. Goodbye, Bob. Rex is absolutely fine, guys. Alright, 71 FPS average is almost perfect. If only we could get those 69, that would be marvelous, you know. Anyways, the benchmark run is over and I am happy with these results. If you have something like a GT 710 or 720 or 730 or 740, this is actually a good upgrade over that. Next up is Dota 2. We're playing at 1080p using the medium settings preset, but I set the render scaling to 100%, so we're at native resolution. We're watching a game right now. Let's start counting our FPS and let's see some beautiful effects. I actually really like the graphics here in Dota 2. Start counting our FPS. FPS are actually really good here. All you need is 60 FPS. Even with a few drops here and there, this game is actually quite playable in my opinion. I'm curious to see like a team fight, of course. We're gonna wait for that to happen because that's where the FPS drop the most usually. Also, if you have the 650 Ti or some similar GPU to it paired with an i5-4460, for example, a 4th gen i5, it's gonna get the same FPS because you can see that CPU usage is around 50%. So It means that it's not utilizing all of the threads on our i7. It's actually utilizing the cores first, so instead of hyper-threading. Now, the FPS actually dropped a little bit from 60 right there, you know. I saw 55 once with all of the effects on screen, but that wasn't really a problem. Once again, I really feel like this is 100% playable at like 40 plus frames per second all of the time, and that's exactly what you get. The 1% lows are at 43, so this is really good. If you're wondering, by the way, if you do this, doesn't really matter. It stays very, very stable. Actually, GPU usage fluctuates a little bit once you do that really fast. So yeah, basically, even though these GPUs are really old, these old GTX 600 series, 700 series, and so on, they are still very capable. This is the second most played game on Steam, and it's doing a really fine job at running it. On medium settings, if you require more FPS or competitive experience, low settings still available to you. You can get those 60 plus all of the time, for sure. Now we're playing CSGO, and no, I don't have CS2, unfortunately. I'm playing at 1080p using the lowest settings here, and yeah, that's to maximize FPS. You want the highest FPS possible in this game. And the match is just starting, and okay, there we go. Starting with a banger. Here it is. I'm really curious to see the FPS whenever we get really close to people, by the way, because usually it drops by a lot in these older GPUs, especially like 400 series cards, but I'm not too sure about these 600 series. That was a little bit of a stutter. That will happen from time to time in death matches. I guess it's just server related. I don't know. The game is kind of broken when it comes to that in death matches. Here we go. How the heck did that guy not kill me, by the way? Goodbye, sir. And goodbye, sir. And so far, so good. We've actually been really close to that one, and he didn't drop our FPS like crazy, so it's fine, I guess. Oh, you can actually play this game competitively if you want to on a 650 Ti. Just make sure that you have a good CPU to go with it, and by good CPU, like 4th gen Intel CPU will do just fine, as you can see, especially an overclocked one. This is our chance. Alright, we got this AFK boy right here, so we can see that the FPS do not drop whatsoever whenever we're close to them. It's nice. Of course, it will drop a little bit in smokes and stuff like that, into like the 60s and 70s probably. No, we almost got first place. Well, we actually got more kills than him, so I'll take it as a win. Now, this one you should not play on a 650 Ti. This is the recently released, still in early access, Sons of the Forest. And we're playing at 640 by 480, using the absolute lowest settings here with no dynamic resolution first. And as you can see, well, it hardly gets 30 FPS. It will definitely drop. As you can see, it's already dropping as we approach the trees and the forest. And, well, since the game is like 90% made of trees and forests, it will run like this. 20s with a lot of stuttering, because we're maxing out that VRAM buffer, of course. It is just unplayable. Let's try it out with some FSR, I guess. FSR 1, let's aim for 120 FPS, shall we? Okay, 30s, 20s, again, same thing. It's exactly the same thing, because VRAM is maxed out. It just can't. I just included it because it actually opens. That in itself is pretty impressive. Oh boy, what the heck? Things were blinking here, and the FPS are actually good. This is Red Dead Redemption 2, believe it or not. We're playing it at 640 by 480. VSync is on, unfortunately, and I can't turn it off because the game doesn't allow me to apply changes because we only have 1 GB of VRAM. We're playing at the low settings with this on medium because, again, it doesn't allow me to change settings. I just changed the resolution to 640 by 480 in the config files. And apparently, raw performance-wise, the 650 Ti is actually capable of running Red Dead Redemption 2. However, it is not loading a ton of things. It's probably, again, because of the VRAM, right? That's VRAM related, bro. No, I'm so sorry. Okay, that was totally totally justified, Roach. You don't need to run away from me, okay? But yeah, those FPS are actually decent, especially comparing with like Sons of the Forest. This is actually looking better, even with all of the texture issues. And it's performing at 30 plus FPS. It's still completely unplayable, but it is getting 30 plus FPS all of the time. So if you have the 2GB variant of this GPU, it might actually be playable here in Red Dead Redemption 2. Guys, I'm pretty sure this area used to have more vegetation. Okay, it's starting to drop into the 30s at times, but yeah, this feels really empty. Well, now you know how it runs. You should not pick up this game with a 1GB variant of this card. And honestly, not even with the 2GB variant, because the experience would be playable, yeah, but subpar, right? Oh man, Rust has been a favorite of mine on these old 1GB cards for a long time, but it's been crashing every single time. And I'm down to 640 by 480, lowest settings. Actually, I'm gonna use lowest resolution scale as well. And everything is turned off right here. And whenever I try to join a server, no matter what server it is, it just crashes instantly. Look at this. It gives me that huge frame time spike there, and it never recovers, and it crashes to the desktop. So Rust is not playable anymore on 1GB cards. Very sad to see this. Well, at least there's a 69 on the temperature of the CPU there. That's nice. Hear that sound, guys? That's the sound of Crisp's Dying Simulator. Well, I died in the background, actually. We're playing at 720p using the very low settings with 100% resolution scale, DirectX 11. And the reason I'm looking over there is because I am playing through the capture card. I'm actually not seeing it in front of me because my TV is saying invalid format. So I gotta play with like half a second of input lag. So I am gonna die even more times than usual. Let's do this. It's actually getting pretty reasonable FPS in this area right here, like 60s. That's completely playable. 720p also doesn't look all that terrible. It gets a little bit harder to spot enemies at the distance and stuff like that, yeah, but it's still very, very doable like this. I remember playing this game with like 40 FPS and being fine with it, although at higher settings back when it released, but it is not bad here on a 650 Ti, honestly, especially for a 1GB model of the card, you know? I'm also very surprised that I am managing to stay alive for longer than usual. But yeah, I am actually liking the performance of the little 650 Ti. I thought it was gonna be worse, honestly. I tried it for a little bit at 1080p as well. It was getting around 40 frames per second, so that's still playable if you don't require those 60 FPS, but I think I would prefer this experience. And that's enough Dying Simulator for today. Now, because I know a lot of people are going to be asking for this one, I got Cyberpunk next, which just crashes. I hit play right there and it flatlines. As you can see, it's not possible to play Cyberpunk anymore on the 600 series GPUs, which is a big shame because I tested this game with the GTX 650 back when it released and it was almost playable, so this would have been playable actually at like 720p with FSR, for example. My god, Hogwarts Legacy has been preparing the shaders for 6 minutes already. Finally, it did something. Yes. There we go. Oh, yeah. I just cannot believe this is actually working, honestly. Like, what the hell? How is it even possible? Let's do FSR 1, because FSR 2 doesn't work on Kepler GPUs. Performance right away. Ooh, 40 FPS right now. That is beautiful. Turn off depth of field. We don't need that. And yeah, we're already using the lowest settings possible here. Please don't take another 6 minutes. Oh, thank you so much. It actually gets inside of the game. I cannot believe this. And it's getting 30 FPS. That is crazy. Of course, this is about like, what, 360p resolution or whatever it is. Now, it's actually 50% of 1080p, so it's 540p with FSR 1 on performance. It looks really bad, and the textures aren't really loading, obviously, but they also didn't load on like 2GB GPUs, or even the 3GB 1060 had trouble loading some textures at times. So this doesn't surprise me. What surprised me is that it's getting 20 plus FPS, and oh my god, yeah, I petted the cat, and this is what happens. Oh, there are a couple of cats right there. Interesting. Can we take a look at the cats game? Please. Like, they're not there. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. This is absolutely amazing that this game loads. Like, the last time that I tried playing this on a Kepler GPU was with the GTX 780, and for some reason it crashed before I could get inside of the game. So I expected that, you know? This is way worse than a 780. I guess they fixed the game to run on Kepler now. But yeah, yeah, I should probably make that video on the 780 or 780 Ti here. Oh my. It is terrible though. But it's not stuttery either. Like, how crazy is that? Next is Overwatch 2, another very easy to run title, 1080p resolution, 100% resolution scale, and the lowest settings. And as you can see, this has no problems running it. Actually, the minimum required GPU for this game is a GTX 650, and I have tried the 650 in the past, also a 1GB model, and it was running the game absolutely fine. I tested it in the minimum requirements, and actually the CPU requirements are a little bit off, the minimum ones, you know? But anyways, well, let's do this. I'm not sure what I am supposed to do with a freaking Widowmaker here. We got the Widowmaker again. Like, why? Also, I have never gotten this, but why does the sensitivity change whenever you zoom in? That's extremely annoying to me. But yeah, it has no problems staying above like 60 frames per second, right? That was a nice kill, finally. Finally, a tank hero that I don't know how to play with. But hey, it's better because it takes me a lot longer to die. I'm not even paying too much attention to the FPS, but it seems like it is getting like 60s at times. If you want to stay comfortably above 60 100% of the time, I would suggest... Yeah, it drops still, as you can see. I would suggest lowering the resolution to like 720p. Then you can actually get like a high refresh rate experience most of the time even. So yeah, you can play this game competitively, very comfortably, for sure. Let's go, people, let's go! Look at that FPS! Alright! Oh boy! I'm not dead yet! I'm not dead yet! Dropping again! It's all good! Throw the spear! There we go, beautiful. Oh, oh, come on, come on. They left. They left the circle of doom, and now we're gonna die. But hey, that was great, right? Alright guys, Forza Horizon 5 doesn't launch anymore on this GPU, unfortunately. It's another game that used to run on Kepler, but then got updated, and now it doesn't run anymore. So let's play Forza Horizon 4 instead. And right away, it says that we are below minimum requirements, so I'm just gonna click OK and hope for the best. Alright, here we go. This is actually not bad at all. So this is basically worst case scenario, being in a race with a ton of other cars, right? Especially behind all of them. And it's getting 40s. So even though we are running out of VRAM with outdated drivers and below system requirements, well, maybe the drivers aren't really outdated for this game, you know, because it's an old title right now, it's still running. However, you can see that sometimes those warning signs saying that you're running out of VRAM will show up every now and again, so they can get a little bit annoying. I believe you can disable them in the options. At least somebody told me that you can on Forza Horizon 5, not sure about 4 though. But yeah, the game is completely playable. Even when running out of VRAM, it is not stuttering whatsoever. It's really well optimized, actually. To be able to run like this on such an old GPU at 1600 by 900, yes, it's very low settings, but it still looks really good. Is amazing. And the results are in. We got 44 FPS on average, checks out with Afterburner, 36 minimum and 35 1% lows. Minimum and 1% lows are different. You can see that the game didn't stutter whatsoever here in the frame time graph, or the FPS graph actually. But the most interesting thing is CPU render, 144. This CPU can actually provide a high refresh rate experience if you put a GPU that's strong enough with it. Now let's play Rainbow Six Siege. I haven't played this one in so long actually. Playing at 720p using 90 FOV and the low settings with TAA and render scaling set to 100%. Okay, I thought it was gonna be worse once again for some reason. Oh boy, okay, people are already shooting each other through the walls and stuff. Like, what the? This guy is cheating! Like, right? It can only be cheating. You stupid idiot. Maybe I just don't know anything about this game, and they're very good at it. I don't know. Well, at least with cheaters on our team, we can run around and not die. Is what I was gonna say. For some reason, this is not really looking like native resolution. It might be the TAA just being blurry as heck here. Oh, come on. Nice, we got a kill, finally. Let me showcase this. I got 24 bullets right there. If I reload and stop it mid-reload, if I get back to it, it has one bullet, the one in the chamber. That's very interesting. I have never noticed that in Rainbow Six Siege. Maybe it's a new thing, I don't know. But nice little detail right there. Nice, another kill. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can spot the enemies even though it's super soft. And it doesn't look terrible. It's just that I'm playing this on a 4K monitor. That's huge. So, yeah. I'm gonna disable TAA, though. Just... yeah, okay. This is definitely native resolution right now. And it looks a little bit better, in my opinion. Oh, come on. I couldn't really snap to the other guy fast enough. I'm just running around. I shouldn't be running around, right? Okay, there we go. How did he not get us? I have no idea. Hey, we have 6 kills and 9 deaths. 69 and 690 score as well. That is amazing. Can I get 69 ping, please? Alright, that's enough. It is very playable here. This is turning to be a crisps dying simulator of its own. Oh, damn. This is Warzone 2 looking gorgeous, right? Oh yeah, that's right, guys. I totally forgot, but Kepler GPUs can't play this game. Sometimes they get into a match and you can actually play for like 30 seconds, but then it crashes. I think it crashed completely. It's not doing anything for like 2 minutes. So yeah. Interestingly, even the GTX 750 Ti, which is a Maxwell GPU with DirectX 12 support, but feature level 11, it also crashes in this game like 30 seconds into it, so yeah. Now we have Stutter Night. This one is being played at 1080p using performance mode and the lowest settings, aside from 3D resolution, which is at 100% for that native experience. And we're dropping, look at that frame time graph, by the way. That's because of performance mode. Every time I play in this API, we have kind of a thick frame time graph. Now, whether you like thick things or not, I certainly do myself, but frame time graphs are not good when they are thick. So there's that, my friends. Now, it's performing pretty well here in Mega City. A lot of people told me that this is the most intensive area in Fortnite these days, and it's getting like 98 frames on average. Also, the thick frame time graph doesn't really bother me whatsoever. It still feels smooth, even though it's kind of weird and it indicates micro stuttering issues. But it always happens even in higher-end systems in performance mode. Oh, nice. We got a little car right here waiting for us. This is great. 79% fuel. Oh my god, that is terrible. First of all, turn off that radio. Playing copyrighted music. This is not the way, my friends. And second, that was a huge stutter, dude. That's the problem with Stutter Night. It's in its name. It's supposed to stutter. Oh boy, yeah, it's a feature these days, stuttering in video games. Now, the good thing about Fortnite is, if you play it for a while, it will start stuttering less and less as it loads in new things into the memory and stuff. So after like 3 games of it, it should not stutter anymore. Look at that GPU utilization. You might think it's a CPU bottleneck here with the i7, but in reality, it's just performance mode being performance mode. This API is really weird when it comes to the components usage, basically. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! I was hearing the footsteps very close to me. Alright, that's just a bot. He's jumping around like a prick. Maybe he's a GT710 player or something. Like, I don't know how those people play games. It certainly makes me crazy. And I guess we've seen enough of the map anyways. Fortnite is certainly 100% playable, even at the crispy resolution of 1080p. Apex Legends is next. We're playing at 720p resolution using the lowest settings. This one can't be disabled for some reason. I set it to disable. I go back here. It's on low again every single time. I could never disable that setting. It's really weird. Right. Oh no, 20. Okay, well, we're looking at the entire map and Apex doesn't like old GPU architecture, so maybe down there it's gonna be a little bit better. Oh, there's a little turtle. It's not a turtle. It's a dinosaur. Anyways, down here things are looking terrible in terms of texture still with a 1GB card, but at least it's getting 40 frames per second, 40-ish. So that's not completely awful, right? It is a playable-ish experience. I think it's gonna drop though from 30, which is gonna be bad, but at least you can like join a match, play with some friends if you really want to. It's not stuttery anyway, so it's okay. You probably can get used to it. Just keep in mind you are gonna be at a huge disadvantage, so make sure your friends have like 4080s and 4090s and stuff like that, so they can carry you. God, I've had prettier poops than this. Like, what is this? Oh my goodness. At least it gets 100 plus FPS, like looking at the ground. The textures, man. It's missing the textures, basically. Let's see some smoke effects. Not a problem. It seems like it doesn't really drop by all that much. Only into the 30s. It's actually surprisingly stable. Ah, there we go. Now I got my ultimate ready. 40-something FPS over here. Let's throw that out. Throw some smokes around as well. So it's really intensive, and let's see some explosions. All right, this is worst case scenario now, guys. And it does drop only slightly from 30. There are a few ultimates that are a little bit more intensive than this one, so I'd say like 25 plus FPS is what you're looking at 720p resolution. But you can also go into the config files, or at least you could once upon a time, and change it to run at like 800 by 600. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's something worth considering if you're playing this game on a 650 Ti. And lastly, we're playing Valorant at 1080p using the high settings over here, 4 times MSAA and 16 times anisotropic filtering. And this is so the GPU usage is loaded at 100% sometimes. Other times, oh, there we go, it will actually fluctuate a little bit with the i7-4770K, which means that we are seeing a CPU bottleneck. Only slightly, because, well, most of the times GPU usage is in fact at like 90% plus. It does have a little bit, slight bit more to give if you pair it with a faster CPU, but most of you won't really pair it with a faster CPU anyways, so this is what you should expect with something like a 4th gen i5 as well. People are really, really good in this one. I just created a new account to see if I could encounter some noobs in Valorant, but no, apparently they are still really good. I hate it. I hate deathmatches in Valorant these days. Sometimes I get first place, other times this happens. Like, what the heck, dude? If I was genuinely starting a new account and I didn't know anything about this game and I hopped into a deathmatch, this would be so terrible and not enjoyable whatsoever that I would never go back to it. Well, rent is over, guys. The FPS are astonishingly good, actually. I was expecting a little bit lower performance coming from a 650 Ti. This game runs on a freaking potato every time, but yeah, I still expected lower. Jesus Christ, man, what the? This must be the worst Valorant deathmatch that I've ever played in my life. Like, I just can't do anything, absolutely anything. Also, look at those averages and 1% lows. The 1% lows, well, if it was flipped, it would be perfect, of course. But those averages are quite nice, indeed. Now, if you want even higher FPS, because for some reason 168 is not enough, you always have the low settings. You will gain slightly more frames using that, but it will be fully CPU bound. That's why I'm testing high here. It's also super damn smooth, so I give up. I give up. Just, this is too much. Let's go to the conclusion. I got wrecked in this one, Jesus. And finally, we reached the conclusion of the video. Do I recommend the GeForce GTX 650 Ti in 2023? I mean, it's a yes and no, as usual. It all depends on the price you get it for, of course. If you find it for like 15 bucks or lower, I say go for it. It can play a lot of esports titles absolutely fine, as you saw, and you can take some value and some great experiences from it. But the thing is, with 110 watts of power usage, I think it's a bit too much for the performance you get, and you can actually find GTX 750 Ti's for really cheap today. So if you are on a really tight budget and you want a GPU to play esports titles and nothing else, or maybe older AAA games as well, this will be a little bit faster and consume around 35 watts. So that's been it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.